All right, welcome to episode 1 of this cute little idea that I wanted to do where I watch a new movie that I've never seen before, that I've heard 1,000 times I need to watch because it's a classic or it's like something everybody's seen, everybody's making references to. I got so many goddamn friends who are movie buffs who are constantly talking about these movies, and I'm like, all right, I need to sit down and watch these. And I thought I'll do a little spin on it where I'll talk about it for 30, 45 minutes after the movie. Why not get a little content out of it? If my friend Drew might potentially be listening to it, I'm sorry if I'm ripping off yours. Um, him and his friend do a podcast that's very similar. That's why I say I'm ripping this off, where they watch a horror sci-fi movie, or horror or sci-fi, maybe it might be both, and then do a podcast on it. I think they recently started doing Twitch. They're at Genre Orama. I hope I said that right. GENREORAMA on both Spotify and Twitch. Hopefully, I might be able to get this on Spotify. But yeah, they're around the same kind of idea. Sorry if I'm ripping you guys off. I just thought it's a good idea. It's a really good idea. I'm sorry. If Jake reaches out to me and he's like, "Hey, stop ripping us off, you four-eyed bucktooth fuck, stick to Twitch. Know your lane." I'll delete it. I'll stop the podcast idea. No, I'm kidding. Well, if he actually doesn't want me to do it, I will stop. But yeah, no, the whole idea behind this is just, just put it out there, see what my first impressions are of a movie that I've never seen. There are movies that I've seen that are well liked. Like, I'll admit it, I've seen the Big Lebowski. Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta watch it again. Maybe I just didn't really. It's not that I didn't get it. I think it was just at moments I was like, oh my god, I want to punch this fucking guy in the face. He talks like me, which is irritating enough because I have to hear my own voice and I have to go back and listen to this podcast and listen to my voice again. And it's bad enough that Jeff Bridges, right? That's who it is. Let me look it up. Big Lebowski. It's Jeff Bridges, right? Yeah, Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges talking like a stoner. He reminds me of me when I was smoking weed like almost every single day. It's just, oh my god, I just, oh. I gotta watch it again because there were moments that I did like about it. Maybe it's just I don't know. But yeah, there's movies that I've seen that I don't really like. Let's see if that might happen. We'll just get a discussion going on. You know what I mean? People in comments, if they stumble across this disaster podcast, you want to discuss about how you felt about a movie or if your opinion differs from mine. It's all about a discussion, right? And with that being said, man, this movie sucked. No, I'm kidding. This movie is actually really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie as I thought I would. I love mob movies. One of my favorite movies of all time is Goodfellas. I could watch that almost any day of the week. I wish I saved it for this though, but I would have to not watch it to begin with. But whatever. This would probably end up being up there with Goodfellas because I really did enjoy this movie. There was like, it's weird because I am not biased against old movies, like movies from like the 70s or whatever. Like, I think I remember growing up and just like watching like black and white movies sometimes, or just like older movies that I was just like, God, this is so fucking boring. The way that they talk is annoying. But you notice that like, as time goes on, that's changed, and it's not like the classic black and white movies, in 60s, 70s, and 80s movies got a lot better. But sometimes there's also a lot of those old movies that also are just terrible, and it's like you can tell that they aged poorly. I feel like this one, even in 2022, is still just like, oh, it's just mint. It's great. I love it. Um, and that's something that popped out at me. Like, I was watching this and genuinely enjoying it throughout the whole like 3 hour experience, and I would have rewatched it so I could pick up on names, just know what I'm talking about a little bit. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna mute my mic. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it didn't. I muted it, and I'm sorry for the dead air. It didn't. It's that feeling in my nose. Okay, whatever. Oh, all right. Yeah, I want to rewatch this, but it's also 3 hours, and I really have been looking forward to just trying to get this podcast idea in motion. But and also 6 hours to watch a movie, like just basically the same movie 2 times. No, thank you. I loved it, um, but, I wrote down notes. Let's go through some of them. So starting off the bat, I want to talk about the wedding scene and something that stuck out to me, which I don't know why I wrote down, but I thought it was funny to talk about, is who I like to call the Italian Joe Biden. The old guy who is singing at the wedding, and he's like doing these like moves with his hands, like he's talking about fondling a girl or whatever in Italian. I didn't understand what he was saying, but you know what he was saying. I just thought that was funny. I think his dentures pop out at one point. You can see them like drop to his bottom, like the top row of dentures popped out, and I'm like, was that supposed to happen? Was Francis Coppola like behind that idea? Um, what was it? It was something that I read. I watched also a video that was like 7 facts that you didn't know about the Godfather. I'm like, yeah, I probably didn't know any of these facts because this is my first time viewing it. Yeah, it was that Al Pacino, like he fought for Al Pacino to stay in the movie, even though people wanted like other people to play Michael Corleone. And people were like, "Oh, dude, we got to get Francis fired. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing." And little did they know is that he'd make an absolute banger that would be considered the second greatest movie of all time. So stick that in their faces if Francis was still alive. I'm sorry. God, something I also wrote down here: horse head scene. Yeah, something I want to talk about was the horse head scene, which I had seen reference in pop culture so many different times. I knew about the horse head scene. I've seen it's like some guy wakes up, his horse is in his bed. I didn't really know the significance of it. I think I always chalked it up as, oh, this is just like a common thing that people do because I was just dumb. Like this is supposed to send a message. Little did I know was that was his like prized horse or whatever that I think he said he was gonna send it off to be a stud or something like that, which I'm assuming means he's sending it off to breed with other horses. I don't know. I don't know how equine work. I don't know how people raise horses. I'm assuming that's what he means. Somebody will tell me otherwise. And funny enough, when I saw him like walking throughout the stables and showing Tom the horse, I was like, oh, it's just his horse. It's whatever. And then once it turned to the bedroom scene, I'm like, oh no, this is that scene, isn't it? This is the scene where he finds it in his bed. And I had never seen the actual scene itself, so I was very unprepared to see a very gruesome horsehead scene. At first, I was like, "No, there's no way that has to be practical effects." That was something that it's really good for 1972. Well, 1972. Yep, very good for that year. And then I had to pause the movie because I'm like, no, I got to look this up. And I saw that it was an actual horse head that they found at a slaughterhouse. I think it said that they picked it out of like other horses to oh, I got a burp on. Excuse me, I should have muted my mic. Yeah, they picked it out of other horse. I can't remember if they said they picked it out before or after it was killed. I think it said it was before. Like they were like, that horse there, that looks just like the horse that we need. When you're done killing it and turning it into dog food, send it over. Let me look up. This was also something I wanted to do. Horse head Godfather. Wow. All right. Was it real? Well, I mean, I already know it was real. Was it real? Horsehead Godfather. It was in fact a real head, Coppola says, but it came from a slaughterhouse where horses were being destroyed for dog food. As if, like, the butt there where it says, but it came from a slaughterhouse, as if that makes it any better. Oh, yeah, the horse head was real. It wasn't like, yeah, Coppola had a horse that just so happened to look like the one that he needed. It unfortunately passed away. They were going to cremate it. He thought, I'm just going to, cut its head off. I don't know if that picked up on the mic. I'm just going to cut its head off and use it for the movie. No, it came from a very fucked up slaughterhouse. That's good to know. They chose a horse that resembled Waltz's prized thoroughbred and asked that when the time came, the horse be sent to the filmmakers. Okay, so yeah, they asked beforehand and said, all right, when you're done killing it, ship that puppy over. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait, hold on. When did they stop using horses for dog food? Do you think there's a God that stays in heaven? That's underneath my previous search. This previously searched things. Do they still use horses to make dog food? Pet food companies in the United States cannot use horse meat in dog food, according to the Equine Protection Network, which is a group dedicated to making a difference for abused, neglected, and slaughtered bound horses. All right. Anything else that says this? Pet food companies in the United States cannot use horse meat in dog food, according to the the only way to be absolutely sure if a horse is not used in your dog's food is to read the pet label. Pet food and companies in the United States cannot use horse meat. Horse meat can be. Okay, I'm not even fucking around there. That's literally how that person typed that out. It says pet food companies in the United States cannot use meat horse. They put those two words together again. Meat horse with a capital H, once again smushed together, meat. Pet food companies in the United States cannot use meat horse meat can be used to replace beef, pork, mutton, venison, and any other meat in virtually any recipe. Rice, okay. But when did they, whatever, I think they said this movie came out before they kind of started, like, enforcing less pet food companies to use horses for slaughterhouses. And I'm not going to get into the whole, like, oh, should horse meat be a thing? But also, like, cow meat. Listen, cows are delicious. Horses are way too close to being like a pet. Don't kill horses, all right? And any whack farmer out there who's like, yeah, but my prized cow Betsy's my pet. Yeah, you going to let Betsy sleep in your house? I mean, I guess also you wouldn't let a horse sleep in your house. I mean, you could. Whatever. It's just not the point. We're talking about Godfather here. And dog food and dead horses. Yeah, something about that scene though that like it was weird. Like I think the only thing I can compare it to is, oddly enough, is Hereditary, which, if you've seen that movie, spoiler alert if anybody hasn't, there's a scene in it where the kid's younger sister is accidentally beheaded by a telephone pole, and he comes home, just parks the fucking car in the driveway, goes to bed, but he doesn't go to sleep. The camera just like stays on his face while he's like wide awake, like unblinking, and it kind of transitions, and like you can hear in the background the mother finding the body, and there's like this blood curdling scream. That's like the most haunting part in that whole movie. And I don't know why I didn't get the same feeling, but I got a similar feeling during the scene where the guy's screaming because like his horse, like his prized thoroughbred horse, is dead in his bed. Straight bars, bro. Yeah, he's just screaming, and it's like, oh my god. And it's even worse because it's an actual horse head. And I was trying to, before I saw the scene, I didn't look up whether or not it was a real horse. Like, I was after it, and I was like sitting there being like, oh my god, that's fake, right? No, that's fake. That looks real though. Its eyes are like glossed over. There's like, the throat, all the gross bits hanging out. There's blood everywhere. But yeah, there's that scene. Other things that I wanted to point out too that I really liked about this movie was the tension, which is something that I don't notice a lot in older movies. I don't know if it's just because like over time, film directors have been able to kind of ace like tension in movies and stuff like that. But I mean, throughout the movie, I was constantly like, it felt like on edge that one of my favorite characters was going to get hit, or something was going to happen, because some things would just happen out of the blue. You know what I mean? Like the scene where Sonny, or Santino, wherever it's the same name for the guy. when he was killed, I was expecting completely him just going to his brother-in-law's house and kicking his ass because he was abusing his sister. And to see him, like, it was in that scene there where once he stopped in the car in front of him, like was like turned or whatever, and I'm like, oh no, like they backed up a little bit. The second that the cop dropped like a coin and went down, I'm like, oh, he's dead. Sonny's dead. The guys with machine guns are just gonna pop out of nowhere. He's gonna get sniped, and little or not. Of course, what I thought came to pass. A bunch of guys with machine guns came out, and they made sure he was dead. They didn't want to fuck up like they did the first time with Vito. They wanted to make sure that he was dead. They put so many rounds into him. They walked up, put more rounds into him, kicked his fucking head. I mean, granted, I was pretty sure Vito died in the beginning of the movie. Went after being shot like, I think they said 5 times. I think the drug guy, Solozo, what was his name? I'm pretty sure he said that they put 5 rounds into him, and he still didn't die. Solozo. I can't even remember how they pronounce it, but that's how it looks like. It's the drug baron, backed by the Tagalia, yeah, crime family. God, that's another character that was like, I think with that his character rolls into what else I want to talk about, which is something that I've always loved in mob movies, which is this big game of chess that it feels like everybody's playing. Everybody's got like poker faces. It's strategically taking out certain people. Certain hits are performed all in the name of like respect, honor, money, all these kind of things. And one of the best players in it, I think, was that drug baron guy. I think his name was Virgil. Look it up. Virgil Solozo, the Turk. All right, should I say the Turk? Is that racist? I feel like that's a little racist. I'll call him Virgil. Yeah, I mean, it was once you noticed, like, what should I say? Once you, fuck, I can't say it. Not say it, but I'm trying to figure it out. Once his cards were like kind of put out on the table, or like once you started revealing like his character more, it was, I think, in the scene where Luca was hit, because it was like I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting kind of Vito's plan to go to fruition, where he would kind of infiltrate like the family or whatever, try to see what's up. But it was once the bartender put his hand on his, I was like, oh no, there's something weird going on in the scene. You almost kind of feel the tension in the air in those scenes, because you just know, oh, somebody's gonna die, someone's gonna get shot, things are gonna get loud very soon. And of course, once in a second, his hand was stabbed, and I was like, oh, he's gonna get whacked. He's getting whacked. God, what another scene that was just like, you could see his eyes like turning red and his whole face turning purple. Like, I wonder how sometimes those effects are done. Or like when Michael Corleone was smacked in the face and his like the side of his face was swollen for a good chunk of the movie. I was wondering if he had like something in his mouth, or like they put prosthetics on, because they also did up Marlon Brando pretty well, because I mean they gave him the puffy cheeks. I think they said they gave him teeth, stuff like that. Yeah, the makeup in this movie was pretty good. I think that was something that really stuck out to me as well. What else I write down here? Tension in the movie. Michael performing a hit. Oh my god, that was another scene. I had to stop the movie halfway to kind of grab something to eat, and that was that scene where I was like, oh no, something's gonna go wrong. Something's gonna go wrong. It's not gonna go out the way that they want it to, or he's gonna fuck up somehow. It really peaked in that moment where he goes to the bathroom and he grabs the gun because he's searching frantically, sort of, and then eventually his hand stops, and you're like, did he get it? Is he going to lower his hand? It's not going to be there. He's going to realize that the gunman didn't put the gun there, like, or whoever was in charge of putting the gun there. He didn't do it, or what. I was even wondering if Virgil was going to be aware of that hit because he was aware of Luca approaching him. But I think what gave that away was that when Luca went into the bar and they started speaking Italian, he already knew that, or sort of like, quote, knew that Luca was displeased with the Corleone family, which is whoever gave him that news, which wasn't true. And Virgil was aware of that. But it almost made me feel like he's got cards up his sleeve. He knows what's going on. He's a smart guy. So he might also sniff out that Michael is only bringing him to this meeting so that he could whack him. Even though, like, the police commissioner checked him for the gun, and that as he got up and was walking away, he, like, grabbed his inside of his thighs and, like, fucking cupped his balls just to see if he had a gun up there too. But it went through, like, it went through successfully. I was really honestly expecting just like a little thing to go bad as well. I was expecting Michael to accidentally walk out with the gun because I can't remember his name, but he was one of the muscle guys. Clemenza? Yeah, Clemenza told him not to bring the gun, or he told him to drop it once he was done with it. And as he's walking out, he almost walked out with it. I'm like, drop it, drop the goddamn gun like he told you to. But he also did that. He escaped to Sicily, I believe it was. Let's see what this says underneath the. I'm also kind of reading the plot on Wikipedia as well, so it kind of reminds me. This is a long movie. Poor Apolia. It's the hot chick that he marries and then gets car bombed. Marries Apollina, but then a car bomb. Or was it? It was Sicily. I believe it was Sicily. Yeah, whatever. I can't read it. I remember it. I thought it said it on here, but escapes to Sicily. Vito comes out of the hospital to see that he's friggin' gone. But something that I want to talk about, I'm really happy with Al Capone's Al Pacino. Jesus Christ. Al Capone, yeah. Al Pacino's performance in this movie, which I don't know if I said it before, because I'm like on the third recording of this podcast because like I fucked up like 2 or 3 times. I'm even thinking about restarting it already, and I'm at 22 minutes. It was Frank. Francis. Name. Why can't I think of the name? Francis Coppola, urging that he wanted Al Pacino for this role, which other people didn't. And I'm glad that he stuck to it because I really do think Al Pacino nailed this role. And it really made me want to watch Scarface again. I've seen that movie. That one I'll probably end up watching and maybe talking about on this podcast at some point. But right now, we're going to stick to movies that I haven't seen. Maybe even shows that I haven't seen. You know, that'd be fun. But yeah, like I really did like this whole like development from him being reluctant to joining his family. He didn't really want anything to do with like their whole crime scene and stuff like that. And as time goes on, you know, and as he becomes kind of more involved, he kind of gets stuck in this cycle, this snowball effect, helping sort of avenge his father, get revenge on who killed him. His life's in danger. His father's life is still in danger, knowing that now he survived the hit on him. And then leading all the way up to him becoming the new Don of the Corleone family. And I think it really does just snowball because then near the end of the film, Vito passes away, and he needs to perform all these hits on the 5 families, and also killing the brother-in-law. I think that's how he's connected to him. It's the basically the guy who set up Sonny's death. Sonny? It's Sonny. I guess it's Sonny, but I keep wanting to call it Sony. Yeah, you know, it makes me excited for the second one. I have no idea. Like I said, I'm still spoiler free for the second one and the third one. I was spoiler free for this one. I'm excited to see what is going to be in the next one. Hopefully, I won't. I don't know if I'm going to read. If somebody finds us and they spoil the second one for me, I. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to read any of the YouTube comments. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But that was something else that I also want to talk about was at the end of the movie. I love that scene so much of just the baptism and him swearing to be the godfather of the baby while while all of his men are taking out the five families. And the scene that almost made me laugh so much was when the priest said, "Do you renounce Satan?" And he's like, "Yeah." As people are dying and as he knows that he's the one who's uh, uh, playing out those hits and stuff like that, as he's now the head of a crime family. Like, I was just like, it was just so funny to me. I don't know. I guess the contrast between the two is brilliant. God, I want to watch Goodfellas now. I do want to talk about it too. Maybe some movies that I end up watching or I have seen will pop up in this podcast soon, but we'll see. But speaking of Goodfellas, something that I also want to talk about that I wrote down on my notes here was first off, it was cheating in mob movies. I thought I wanted to talk about that. I'll touch upon that really quick. Yeah, Michael and whoever Ray Liotta played in Goodfellas. I can't think of the name. I'm really dumb. I'm sorry. Yeah, they just seem to never stay faithful. I don't know. I just think that was a funny comparison. But something that I did want to talk about was I feel like Vito was right in not wanting to be part of the whole like drug scene. I think he was right where he was coming from, denying like a deal between him and Solozo or Virgil, however you pronounce his name. Yeah, let me see. Asks for Vito for investment in his narcotics business and protection through his political connections. Yeah, I just feel like that Vito saw that would be the downfall of like crime families and like the mob. Because it always seems like in mob movies, whenever drugs start getting involved, is just right when things start to tank because the DEA would crack down on a lot of these. I think what I've immediately think about is the scene in Goodfellas where Ray Liotta's character is just going straight down the pipeline or going straight down the rabbit hole. Like he's doing drugs, he's sleeping with that woman who's cutting cocaine for him and stuff like that. He's paranoid because the friggin' helicopters, like he's thinking that he's being watched, or he's encouraging his family not to talk on landlines because they could be spied on. Just all of this, which does eventually become true because he does get caught by the DEA, I think it was, or whoever was in charge of their investigation, and eventually leads to him needing to snitch out on his mob family. So I think that was something that I think even Vito kind of saw. I don't know. I guess if you're knowledgeable, you just don't want to get stuck in that business. And even one of the guys at the Five Families meeting in that movie brought up other good points where, all right, if we're getting into this whole drug thing, I'm not giving them out to kids. It's a very sticky situation. You know what I mean? It's you're. I think that they said that their main export, or not export, but way of income was gambling. It's funny because it's some other form of ruining somebody else's lives. I guess maybe it's better to ruin somebody's life with gambling than ruin somebody's life with drugs. But I don't know. I still think that it's a smart idea to only stick to the whole gambling thing. But yeah, then they also talked about how Vito was holding on to like all the judges and wouldn't let up on any of them and help like provide protection. I don't know. I don't know how racketeering and crime bosses work. It's just fun to watch these movies sometimes and sort of understand what's going on. I mean, I had a generally good idea of what was going on in this movie. It was, once Vito denied investing in Virgil's narcotics business, Virgil was pissy about it and attempted to assassinate Vito and took out Luca. I can understand the cat and mouse game a lot. game of chess that they play. And it really had all the markings of a good mob movie. It had Italians. It had people speaking Italian. It had gabagool. Did you see that in the beginning of the movie? I ask as if I'm talking to somebody who just watched it with me. Some guy threw like a package. You're starting a podcast. You got fucking mush mouth. He throws a package of gabagool to a guy, and he's like, "I got that gabagool." My all-time favorite quote from this whole movie isn't "You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding," or what else he says? He says, "Look how they massacred my boy." No, it's Clemenza right after they kill Paulie saying, "Leave the gun, take the cannolis." That's my favorite line. I'm gonna quote that all the time now. I love that. It's so funny to me. I love cannolis. It's perfect. It's perfect for me. I'm an idiot. It doesn't take much for me to be happy or pleased. So, what are we at? We're at 31 minutes. I think that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. I'm sorry if this seemed like a mess. This is just kind of my first run at kind of doing this idea. As time goes on, I think I'm going to try to build more of a structure. There was no intro. There's not really much of an outro. I stutter a lot. I have what I think they call red light syndrome. What is it called? Red light therapy? Is it paranoia? Red light syndrome and music. I think that it's usually, it means like once... I think it means once, like you know that you're recording, even if it's kind of subconsciously, you tend to screw up. As I just screwed up again. My God, we're a person with musical talent. All right, well, right off the bat, I don't have musical talent or podcasting talent, but once they are being recorded, they fall to pieces. Where a person has musical talent, but once they are being recorded, they fall to pieces. Symptoms of red light syndrome include pale skin, cold sweats, and frequent mistakes? My God. Okay, well, like one of the three I have is just frequent mistakes. It took 3 takes on drums for me to get that. Even the third time, he didn't get it. I'm thinking he has red light syndrome. Yeah, so red light syndrome. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I'll have to get over that, but whatever. If you enjoyed this dumb little thing that I'm doing here, and you want to hear more of my shrill voice, my disgusting nasally shrill voice, I gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop it's roasting myself. If you enjoyed this, check out my Twitch. I Twitch stream there. Twitch stream there? I live stream there frequently. I'm sorry. I live stream at Untoten Slayer. That's UNTOTEN. Slayer, SLAYER. Usually around 9 o'clock Eastern time, trying to set up a schedule, but I'm there almost every day. Also, check out my friend's podcast. This is the inspiration for mine, at twitch.tv / genre orama, GENREORAMA, and the same name under Spotify. I think they said that they want to do more streams. They had a lot of fun doing a stream one day, but also check out previous podcasts on Spotify. That's genre space O apostrophe Rama, kind of like Futurama. Yeah, that'll be it for this week's episode. Hoping to do this on a weekly thing. If not, maybe I thought back on this idea and I gave up on it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that'll do it for this week. Next week will be Godfather Part 2, hopefully, or if I think about doing something else. But most likely it'll be Godfather Part 2. Until then, peace out.